The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
Alright everybody, 9 Years Podcast is back. Nick Draper here with Stuart Deakins, the face of the BBC Sport website. Stuart Deakins, happy birthday, Stu, for Tuesday.
Yes, happy birthday to you for Tuesday.
Thank you very much. I was sort of thought you might have come in a little bit quicker there, to be honest, but you know, thank you.
Well, I thought I'd let you talk first, you know what I mean? But, yeah, random sharing birthdays. So yes, I don't celebrate birthdays, to be fair. I stopped celebrating them after 30.
Are you over 30?
I know you've not reached that age yet, do you know what I mean? So,
no,
yeah,
I don't celebrate it. Still got 5 years to go until that milestone.
Yeah,
now it's just a quarter of a century.
I chuckled to myself because I saw, of course, everyone, the thing is nowadays, right, no one knows that it's your birthday based on your calendar or anything like that. Everyone now knows it's your birthday because it comes up on Facebook. That's how people know it's your birthday now, I sort of feel. But yeah, I went to yours and it said you were 25 today, and I tried not to. To be fair, I laughed my head off. I found it highly amusing.
Why is that funny? I don't understand.
Just that you put your age on there, I just thought it would be like something you wouldn't do.
What, put my real age on?
Well, yeah.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Episode 168. Still zero complaints. What are we going to be talking about this week, Stu? I don't know.
Football.
Football, yeah, but I know, but it's going to be a hard one this week. Let's be fair. It's our birthday week. You're very busy at work. You've been up to London today from your home, from your mansion in Crawley.
Yeah, no one has a mansion in Crawley.
How many rooms have you got now? I thought it was 12. 12 bedrooms, sorry.
I wish I had more so I can get away from my son. He just keeps crying, but hey.
Oh, wow. Stu, these podcasts last forever. When he's old enough to understand, I'll play that back to him. He'll love hearing that. But yeah, we had a busy week, and we've got a 0-0 draw to talk about. This could be quite slim pickings.
Did that happen?
There was a 0-0 draw. I don't think there's anything else to talk about, Stu. I don't know. Any breaking news, anything that's come to light over the last few days that we could perhaps chat about? I don't think so.
No, not that we have official knowledge of. But yeah, you know what? It's really weird, Shrewsbury, because I actually went to work. I got a Tottenham friend, and he was like, "Good result on the weekend." I said, "Oh, we lost, didn't we?" And I went, "Oh no, I didn't." You know, it feels like a defeat. He went, "No, you didn't lose, Shrewsbury, during 0-0." And I said, "Yeah, we didn't have a shot until basically when Shrewsbury had given up." Yeah, it felt like a defeat this week. Weird, but I'm sure we'll go through that and discuss all our shots on target. That'll take us long, won't it?
Well, as I just discussed with Jake Watson on Love Sport Radio on Sunday, it felt like a defeat, and everyone was very disappointed following it because we thought we needed a win as our last hope of staying up. And we didn't get the win. Not only did we not get the win, we had one shot all game and it was off target. So we are absolutely deflated, I think is the term, with what happened. You said last week you think it's over anyway, but is it now officially all done?
Well, I don't know if it's ever going to be officially until we can't catch the team that's in 20th. So mathematically is when you give up, isn't it? But yeah, do you know what? People were saying the results didn't go for us, and I think I've said many times before, you can't keep hoping week in, week out that all the teams around you are going to lose, because it just doesn't happen. Just as much as we're fighting, all the other teams around us are fighting, and they're all picking up. Well, they're not really picking up surprise results. The only team that's not picking up anything is Bradford. I think if we do get relegated, if we finish below Bradford, then we have had a seriously bad season, because they are just, they're shocking, aren't they? And on their third manager.
I was going to say, they've taken the Fulham approach to football, which is just hire as many managers as you can in one season. Gary Bowyer's gone in there. It's a bit of a game changer for them because he's got a good track record. So maybe that's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for them. I think there are 3 teams that I see us conceivably catching or finishing above at the moment, purely because of how poor their form has been pretty much this year, this calendar year, which is Bradford, Rochdale and Walsall. And, I mean, yeah, is that really our realistic aim? Is it just try and somehow make sure we've got more points than those 3 and then just hope somehow a 4th can't put any form together? Bear in mind, we're 9 points adrift, aren't we?
We're 9 points adrift and a goal difference of, I think, on -7 on Walsall. So, hey, look, realistically, all you can really do in this sort of situation is try and pick off teams as you go. So the next target is Bradford. If we can get above Bradford, which is now within 3 points. I don't think our goal difference is anywhere near as good as. I don't think it's nowhere near as good as Bradford. I'm trying to just quickly check what it is actually, but yeah, in terms of we are now within a win away from Bradford, so that's your next target. Once you get that, and I'm sure that's how Wally. Well, hey, I know he goes half by half, doesn't he? So he's going to win that half and then win the other half. But it must be surely a case of if we can pick off Bradford and then go for Rochdale, who obviously did they dismiss their manager or a mutual agreement?
Keith Hill has gone.
Is that his second? Did he go back? Did he go back to Rochdale is a sort of club it's a local. Although great Manchester clubs always have a very good affinity with their ex-managers and stuff like that, but. It's a shame in a way because he had a great season last year, didn't he, with obviously the cup run he had and stuff. But will they get that bounce? I don't know. You hope not. Bristol Rovers, yeah. Walsall, we smashed Walsall, didn't we? It was only a 1-0. It was only a 1-0 win at Walsall, but by all accounts we could have smashed them. And then you've got your Oxford and Gillingham. I suppose the thing is we've still got to play Oxford and Gillingham, so you sort of hope that we are within striking distance of them, or at least by 6 points. But that's all we can do is just put pressure on them. But realistically, we've got to do a 10-point swing, if we include goal difference, in 11 games.
It ain't going to happen.
I don't think it will. And you know what? It's interesting you're talking about Fulham. There's an interesting quote. I can't remember where I read it now. One of the papers. And basically I was saying about Ranieri, how badly he'd been treated. And you know what? I think his win rate or his actual point total been better than the previous manager. And someone, I think it might be Martin Samuel. I might be wrong, but I think it was Martin Samuel on the Daily Mail, and he was basically saying that Ranieri, it's like having a firefighter. You can have a fire. You can be a great firefighter, but sometimes a fire is just too big. And that was quite an interesting way of putting it, in basically saying that, you know what, the job there was just near enough impossible. He's a good manager, but he's not that great a manager. I think sometimes you could probably look at maybe Wally in a way could be at the end of the season. It could just be a case that, you know what, the fire was too big when he come in.
Very nicely linked then to Wally, because that's where I was going to go next. He was quite happy with the 0-0 draw. I think he took the result and the performance and whatever in isolation. I think that's what I was trying to say as well on the radio on Sunday. In context, it was not good. But in isolation, it was a 0-0 draw, a clean sheet away from home, 3 unbeaten on the road now, so, you know, that's good, considering how bad we've been this season. And as I also made the point on the weekend, with a very young team playing in very difficult circumstances. And I think that's why we have to at least approach or try and think more positively of the result, because there are things to take from it. So, as I pointed out, 3 19-year-olds in that starting 11, I mean, an average age of 22 in the squad. There's hope there for next season, isn't there?
Well, it is. If you look at it that way, yes. Next season, you know, if we're going to keep these youngsters, and I think we will, they get invaluable experiences at some really tough environments. And I think the biggest, toughest environment is playing at Kingsmeadow in front of us lot at the moment. That's the toughest environment. I think the away games, and that's what he's showing at the moment, actually, it's taking a bit of pressure off them. If you look at what the last 3 away games, we've picked up 7 points, 2 wins and a draw. In the last 6 games, we've picked up 7 points. So, yeah, there's loads of ways you can look around it, but I don't really want to play for next season, even though I'm saying, yes, do you know what, the point swing is massive, and it's not unlikely, it's probably unrealistic to even think you're going to get any close to it, but you still want to try and see if you can just make some sort of fight of it. But Wally will be looking very much that he's got a clean sheet. He struggles to come across those. So yes, he probably got a clean sheet by being negative away from home, and you can't necessarily get away with that at Kingsmeadow. But bearing in mind we're going into playing Doncaster and Peterborough back-to-back. Doncaster have just reached the playoffs. So they're now in 6th. They're in a playoff position, and Peterborough in 7th. These 2 home games, probably the worst 2 home games you could possibly have. I know we've said it before, but realistically, it really depends on what we get out of these 2 games as to whether it's just game over by the time we play. I think we've got on Saturday. I can't think we've got on Saturday.
Doncaster.
No, the following Saturday. Sorry.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't care. I will find out for you.
You know what I'm saying in terms of realistically, depending on what we get out of these 2 games, is whether actually we are literally just going to blood the kids in Southend. Sorry,
it is Southend away. Yes,
we go down to the seaside.
I'm not going back there. Jeez.
But then if you look at the games, you've got Doncaster, Peterborough back to back, and then you've got Southend and Gingham back to back. It just really depends where we get out of these 2 games.
Yeah, we said last week, didn't we, that this month is actually fixtures-wise, it's quite kind, and that's why not all hope will be extinguished just yet. Is there also a bit of a wild card for us in this final home straight, as it were, of James Hansen? Could this be a game changer in a similar vein to West Ham, 20-odd years ago when I was very young, in my infancy, with Paul Kitson and John Hartson? Obviously, I can't remember it because I was so young, but I've been told stories.
I would love to say yes, but we have to be realistic. James Hansen's appearances and actual playing in the last 3 years is probably worse than Kwesi's. And that's saying something, and that's not being disrespectful to Kwesi, but he's been hit with injuries. To think that he can come in and be our saviour, I just don't see it. I'm being honest with you. I don't. And we also got to remember is how we've not been used to him playing. So all the players that we've got probably haven't really. You can train with Hansen, and I'm sure he's training at the moment. But in a match day situation, I just don't see us being able to play to his strengths or know what his strengths are, and it's dangerous in the last 10 games, really.
Looking around the team, then, where is the hope then? Because we've spoken about this 3-5-2 system that seems to have worked. We definitely seem to have sacrificed a bit of quality, haven't we? In terms of we've gone for a formation and players that fit the formation, rather than perhaps picking our strongest 11. I'm only saying that because players like Pinnock can't get in the side, for example, and he is a fan favourite, I would say, amongst, if there is such a thing in this current side. We're not playing him in a straightforward 4-4-2 where you get the best out of him out wide, are we? We've gone for 3-5-2. We've figured out that our best fullbacks are Seddon and Sibic. But aside from a bizarre one-off game at Rochdale, goals has been a problem, and chances, as the Shrewsbury game indicated, a big problem. So does he think about maybe changing the side for the next few games and trying to get a few more attack-minded players in their best positions?
Well, this is the dilemma, isn't it? Because he's got a clean sheet at Shrewsbury. Yes, we didn't score a goal, we didn't have a shot on target, but he's got a clean sheet. So is he going to go and think, I'll play at home to Doncaster, we'll keep it tight, and we'll try and sneak a win? I think if you go expansive and you try and take the game to Doncaster, I think they just pick us off. So it is a dilemma. It's literally trying to get a win by hook or by crook at the moment, isn't it? And whether it changes formation, unlikely, I think. If I look back, I think, what is he playing now? Last 4 games, played 3-5-2. So he mucks around the formation, didn't he? But this is probably the most consistent formation that he's stuck to. And you're right, Seddon and Sibic do tend to be the wing-backs to that sort of side of it. I think that's the way. I think Seddon actually is not a bad defender, but he's definitely better going the other way. Toby, I'd always rather him being the opposing half than being in our half, because I just don't think he's that good a defender. That's not a problem, because I don't think right-backs, I've said before, I don't think right-backs have to be necessarily great defenders. I think they're more judged now, unfortunately, going on what they do forward-wise. I just think it's that midfield side of it, isn't it? It's just trying to get the right balance there, McLaughlin in there, and what happens if we get Conley, sorry. Is it Donnelly or Conley? I don't know.
This is amazing. This is amazing.
You can tell that I've been working hard, can't you?
Dylan Connolly.
See, I thought, I was going to call him Colin Donnelly. Let's just change his name for a laugh. as we do with McLaughlin. Someone keeps calling him McLovin, don't they? Which I think is great.
Yes, on Twitter.
We should have nicknames for our midfielders. I'm sure we could think of a few for some we have this season and some we let go this season. But let's not go there.
Say that, Stu. I was just clicking through the BBC website at the team to just remind myself who was on the bench for the Shrewsbury game. And as I get to our page on the BBC website, there's a little note there, little news article, headline: Trotter leaves AFC Wimbledon for USA. Can we just take a moment to just remember Liam Trotter and all he did for our football club? Thank you very much. Also on the bench,
I sort of felt I need to do a round of applause. Then, do you know what I mean? Like, like when there's a minute silent, it's like clubs. We don't agree with it, do we? They sort of do they pick a minute, and they do a round of applause. I never know what to pick for Trotter because I don't know what minute he ever played with him.
Can we say these things? Are we allowed?
Just did. If you unless you decide to cut it out and edit my greatest takes out of it, then yes, it will stay in the edit.
The best bits of Stu, like
if you can find them.
What was your favourite podcast of all time? Oh, I'd have to say the best of the 9 Years podcast. Looking at the bench, then, all that said, yes, McLaughlin would be, you mentioned him there, the sort of more defensive midfielder of the. Well, if you're going to play a more defensive midfielder, he'd be the one, isn't it? Because I'm looking at Wagstaff, Hartigan and Wordsworth as the three that started against Shrewsbury, and don't really see them. Certainly, Wordsworth certainly against who was it? Was it Charlton? I don't think he won a tackle all game. He is certainly better going forward. Hartigan is better going forward. Wagstaff is better going forward. So I know it sounds ridiculous because we've just got a 0-0 draw, but do we want someone who's a bit more tenacious in terms of winning the ball back and what have you? And McLaughlin seems to be that one.
It is, and hey, look, I'm a big fan of Andy Hartigan, but at the moment, in a 3-5-2, Andy Hartigan is only really good if you have a lot of possession. Sometimes I sit and look at teams that come to us, so Charlton, the real top teams in the league, and I look at them and think, if he was playing in a different colour shirt, he would absolutely boss that midfield. And what I mean by that is that he's a player that's no good without the ball. He's not a tackler. He's not one that's going to go and hunt. That's not his strength. His strength is when you've got a lot of possession, he can pick the ball and he can dictate play. But the problem at the moment is because we can't keep it, because we keep going back to front and we just don't keep the ball. At the moment, Pigott's not strong enough to keep the ball. The Watford lad is.
You were right. That wasn't another Connolly Donnelly moment. Yeah, that is Felipe.
Yeah. I know, that's why I thought I called him Watford lad, because I know that was your case. So the Watford lad, he's more of a case that comes into the hole, and again, he can easily be knocked off the ball. I know. He can easily be knocked off the ball. And I was thinking at the moment, Hartigan isn't great in this setup because unless he has the ball, he's ineffective. So I know people would go crazy, but I wouldn't play him at the moment. I think he'll be better next season. I think I just don't think you get the best out of him because he needs the ball. He can dictate play with his possession. He can spread it. He can play a pass. He can see a pass on. But there's no point playing if you haven't got a ball. And that 3-5-2 probably needs more ball winners in there than it does an Andy Hartigan at the moment. Wordsworth, I think you always have to find a home for. I think it's, you just can't.
A place for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a home for him.
Well, a home. You know what I mean. You need to find him a position in the starting lineup. There you are. But you're right. Pinnock can't find a position. Interestingly, that Leonardi started him off and then didn't play him. Waddy started him off and now it's not playing him. So that's two managers now that can't seem to find a formation or don't
get
want him
the
in.
Best out of him, or he's not doing something they want him to do.
And that's what I'm sort of thinking. Do you know what I mean? He reminds me a little bit of a Harry Forrester in terms of Harry Forrester. If you said to him, Harry, you're going to get a ball and you're going to play. When we've got a ball, you're going to play and you're going to go and join in. That's great. But when you haven't got a ball, you can just sit where you want. He'd be like, thanks, boss. I'll do that, because that's what he did. And Dean Parrott was a similar one as well on that. But in this day and age, you have to work without the ball just as hard as you do with the ball. And I think that's the problem with Pinnock. And it's trying to, there are situations when we played in a 4-4-2 formation that he let his fullback just literally have 2-on-1 all the time. And you can't do that. If I was a fullback, can you imagine Barry Fuller if Mitch Pinnock was playing in front of him? Bradford would probably end up pushing him in the stand, let alone the winger against him, because he just doesn't help out. He doesn't have that defensive nous at the moment. I think that's why Wally's not playing.
Last thing I want to ask you about player-related wise or whatever, Scott Wagstaff, dividing opinion at the moment. I am a Scott Wagstaff fan. I know people are saying he doesn't do enough and contribute enough. I get that. He seems to have periods of being in and out of the side, which hasn't helped. He wasn't a starter at the very start of the season. But he has contributed more than people think. It wasn't just the West Ham game. I mean, Portsmouth away at the League Cup, our only victory in the League Cup in, well, however many years it is, 18 years, came from his cross. Do you remember his cross for the equaliser, for Pigott? What a ball. I've not seen a better cross this season from anyone, well, certainly in any games involving Wimbledon. And he's got goals, he gets in the box, he got important goals against a winning goal, well, not a winning goal, but contribute to a win against Oxford, scored a great goal against Accrington Stanley. He does do more than I think people think, but at the same time, flattering to deceive at times. It's a strange one, isn't it? I guess it's, I'm going to answer my own question. It's inconsistency, isn't it? Which is a running theme for pretty much all the players we've got, I suppose.
You are, because you've seen a level that he can reach. I think I think he's not alone in this, but we saw a level for the West Ham game that we went, wow. And we know why they can't hit that level every game, because that's the right reason why people play West Ham and they don't play Wimbledon, is because they can be consistent in the top league, where we can just do it on one game against the top team. But I can see why he divides opinion. I don't know what to make of him. I'm disappointed now that his yellow and blue beard's gone. I'm like, that's a bit disappointing. I thought he should have kept it to the end of the season, really. What a waste of time that was for the person doing it.
Right, hold on. Imagine you've grown your beard, which at times you have been, okay?
It's cold.
And imagine you, off the cuff, said something which you didn't think at all was ever going to happen, and as a result of it, you had to dye your beard. This is you I'm talking about. Your beard, half blue, half yellow. How long would you keep it for, realistically? Wouldn't you sort of think, once it's done, it's done. I need to get rid of this thing now. I can't go shopping with Wally Downs every week to play a game with people staring at me in the supermarket with this stupid beard.
Yeah, but he should have kept it, though, because he could have used it as sort of going, you know what, I'm going to keep this beard the way it is until we get out of the bottom four. All right, it'll be a long time.
He would die with that beard.
Well, we're not always going to be in the bottom four, because you've got to get relegated eventually, and then you start at the top. Isn't that right? You start at the top of League Two when you get relegated from League One? Surely that's the rules on that side of it. So,
well, logically, if you were to knock us down into League Two, if you wanted to do it that way, Stu, we'd start fourth, wouldn't we?
No, that's better than what we've done this season.
Considerably, yeah.
Have you done? And I'm going way off track here, but when you watch Quest for the EFL goals, have you started paying a bit more attention to League Two now than you did maybe, I don't know, beginning of the season?
It's quite funny you should ask this, because I've noticed with myself this season. So what I tend to do is I tend to watch the EFL goals on a Sunday morning. Okay, that's what I do. And it's always happened. Remember when we were in non-league, and every week you get the non-league paper and you'd be reading through and seeing what like Gainsborough Trinity are doing, and all these clubs that you've got no interest in whatsoever. And then once we got promoted to the Football League, everyone's like, yeah, do you know what though? I'll still keep in touch with non-league and see how it's going. Yeah, I don't buy the non-league paper anymore. And now we got promoted into League One, and I thought, well, obviously I've still got to know what's going on in League Two, of course. I've lost interest completely now. I really have. So basically what I'm saying is I don't care if it doesn't directly involve us anymore, or from next season I guess the Championship, because Luton will be there. Sorry.
Do you know what? I don't buy a non-league paper anymore. I don't. But I still watch. I got BT Sports, and I still watch their non-league. Some games, it's really weird how they do their games on BT Sport. They don't have a consistent like a Saturday game, or they just do very random games. But I watch their highlights because I still feel there's some sort of like connection with non-league. I think don't forget your roots and stuff like that. But what I did do, I watched Solihull Moors against Maidstone on Saturday, Sunday, one of the days of the weekend. And people would go, why the hell did you watch that? But Solihull Moors, if you don't know non-league, they were struggling to stay up last season. I think they finished 21st in the conference. Yet this year, they are second in the conference under Tim Flowers, who, again, I think you won't because you're too young for that. But anyone that remembers Tim Flowers from the Southampton and Blackburn days, excellent goalkeeper until he got mugged off by his good friend Matt Letizia. I think you may have seen it on the greatest ever things, but Matt Letizia scored like a 25-yarder lobbed.
I am told he was quite a player back in the day.
He was, but basically Tim Flowers was an excellent goalkeeper, very good friends with Matt Letizia when they were at Southampton, and Letizia made him look an absolute fool by lobbing him from about 30 yards. But I was interested when he got the appointment at Solihull Moors. But I watched it and thought, crikey, we may play them next year. I can live with the fact we may play Salford. I think Wrexham I think Wrexham are top of that league at the moment. And Salford are flattering to see, but I think they probably will do well in the playoffs. But you know what was funny about watching Solihull Moors is they literally played direct football, like long ball football. They got Danny Wright up front, who is we've seen him along.
He's been everywhere. He was at Luton at one point.
Yeah, we've seen him along the journey, haven't we? I think he's been at Cheltenham. I'm trying to think. He's played against us quite a few times.
Didn't he start at Hampton? Wasn't it Hampton where he started? Have I got that right?
Possibly, but he's been around the block. He's a typical old-fashioned non-league striker. Probably not good enough for the League Two. He's like Pigott, not good enough for League One, but pretty good enough for League Two. That sort of striker. But they literally just played to their strengths, bypassed the midfield. There was no point in having midfielders because all the midfielders done was literally just pick up all the second balls. But they were so effective. And I sat there and thought, do you know what? Even though they play long ball and people think that's that's boring football, I actually enjoyed watching them more than I've watched Wimbledon because actually they had a game plan. They knew exactly what they were going to do. Fullbacks played the diagonals into Danny Wright, and they've got Blissett up front. And I remember talking to you about Blissett. I think he was on loan from somewhere. I can't think. I haven't done my research on that, but I remember seeing his name. But they look an absolute handful. And yeah, we could be playing them next year. So I've obviously gone off topic, but yes, I do take more notice of League Two, thinking, crap, we might be going to Grimsby, we might be going to Crawley, we might be going to Forest Green and having the veggie. Is it veggie stuff they have now? I don't know.
Vegan, the vegan
that's
one.
But
Stu, that's fine because they can only do it for like an hour because then they run out of energy. Because all vegan people, they've just got no life about them, have they? I don't know how they survive, to be honest with you.
Give her a proper meal. I thought it was upset now. Quite a few people listening to this.
Yeah, give them a beef burger or nice bit of pork sausage. They love it. Bit of dairy. Who doesn't want it? Come on.
Do you know what I saw the other day as well? I'm down food now. Isn't there some sort of fruit called jackfruit or something like that now?
What do you mean now?
Well, I've seen it a lot more now.
I'm sure it's been around probably for all time.
Well, no, but what I noticed when I went out for a meal, and my kind wife took me out for a meal on Tuesday, and I noticed that Pizza Hut are doing some sort of attitude, having jackfruit on a pizza. What's that all about? Anyway.
I don't know how or where we started from, but we've ended up at jackfruit for some reason. I've also realised that Danny Wright is not the one I was thinking of. And now I'm racking my brains. I don't know. There's like a tall blonde striker. I'm sure it was Wright.
That narrows it down.
And he came. It's not. No. I swear it was at Hampton Richmond. And he ended up at Luton for a spell when they were in non-league, and he was like going to be the next big thing. But looking at Danny Wright doesn't seem to marry up according to his statistics. Listeners, talk amongst yourselves for a minute because I need to sort this out because this is going to bug me.
A young blonde striker.
Oh, it's going to take me ages to work this one out, but I'm determined to do it. So I don't know. Stu, entertain the listeners, sing a song or something.
I'm not going to sing a song. It's not an induction side of it.
We need to find something.
If you haven't watched non-league, watch non-league. It's very entertaining. And like I say, and it's interesting next year that when we get relegated, I get bored sometimes of the teams. It doesn't change that much, but actually next year we could probably technically have 20 new teams. I don't know how it works.
What?
Well, I'm trying to think. If you get relegated, you then go into a league that's got you've got 4 that come down, haven't you? 4 that come down, 2 that come up from the conference. I don't know. But you have quite a few new teams to play.
Right. So, yeah, okay. But, see, we're not going to have 20... Because we'd have played a lot of them before. We have been in League 2 previously.
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying that we didn't play this season.
Yeah,
so it's quite nice, isn't it? It's quite new. I mean, you can't wait to have the Steenish visit you and Grimsby.
Oh, my God.
We haven't played Colchester for a little while, so they're quite new.
They might go up still.
Wright Jackson, will we come back to us?
Colchester would be one. It'd be a nice new ground, wouldn't it? We're getting ahead of ourselves, aren't we? We're not down yet, even though
we're not.
Pretty much are. Yeah, that's it, really.
Well, at least it got us away from talking about the one shot at Shrewsbury.
The one shot at Shrewsbury was a Joe Pigott shot that went nowhere. And the last thing I want to say, once again, we talked about Mitch Pinnock. He did come on, and he came on for Falevi, and he was played up front. Jake Jervis remained on the bench. That's awkward, isn't it?
Is Jake Jervis out of contract at Luton?
I have no idea.
I think it's going to be weird because, he's played no games. He just hasn't played, has he? Do you know what I mean? So I hope he has got another year, because I don't wish anybody to lose their job, which is technically what he will do if he's out of contract, because I don't know where he goes from there. But he don't go back to Luton, because Luton will be in the Championship, and I'm sure he's not a Championship striker. Luton
will be in the Championship. Touch wood, there's still a long way to go, and it's quite tight up the top as well. So fingers crossed for Luton. Right, let's move on. Let's talk about something else very quickly. Articles in the newspapers. I don't know. Have you noticed this, Stu?
Yeah.
I know you've been busy and sort of.
I've not read it. I saw it. Obviously, it showed on Tuesday, didn't it? That Even Standard seemed to have got an exclusive. Don't know why after don't get the exclusive, but
it started.
There you go.
It started in the Evening Standard. It's made its way to the South London Press. It's now found its way into other papers as well. I think got the Daily Splat, the Westerly Sophia has got there, the Wallington and Hackbridge incident, but not as yet officially on our official website. So, it's also found its way into the Froome Unprovoked Attack, apparently, a well-read local newspaper. There's not a lot of news in it, to be fair. It's caused a bit of a stir. It's because we've not said anything. It's just basically Eric's said that we expect to be building next month or the month after, and it'll be ready for 2020. So for the 2020-2021 season. Before we knew about the freehold of the land, that was transferred just at the very tail end of 2018. So that's not news. That's not new. I think the news is that, we're looking to get the building underway, and it will take about 13 months. So it's going to be very quick. As we know, it's not going to look like what we had first thought it was going to look like. But hey, we've made our peace with that for the time being. But I guess that means that next season is our last season at Kingsmeadow.
Oh.
So we should do something special to commemorate this, surely.
I think it will be. I think for all the jokes we have about Kingsmeadow, we all know how important Kingsmeadow's been for us. So what are we now going into? So what we're 2002. So we're going into our 18th season, 19th season at Kingsmeadow. That's a long time. That's a long time, and it doesn't feel that. It feels like it's been. That sounds quite a long. If you think about it, you've got people that probably were born in 2002, only ever seen Kingsmeadow, and that's their home. You think about one of our good friends, James Longdale, whose little boys I remember were very young when we first went to Wimbledon, and now they're grown men and going to university, which is, I know I've chatted to Jane about that before, and it's really weird, but they've grown up through the whole period of Kingsmeadow. So I think I don't know if the club are going to do anything to celebrate. We're not going to do West Ham and have some sort of magic light showing and have black taxis going around the ground with ex-legends, are we?
Stu, we can't get a scoreboard to display the score. We've got no hope of anything else.
Could you imagine that, though, if we had the black taxis, they sort of come in the ground, Simon Bassey could drive his own one, and could you imagine, you'd have the ex-favourites come out, so you have your Nick Roddice and your Martin Randall and your Kevin Cooper, who's always at Kingsmeadow anyway, do you know what I mean?
Trotter.
I don't know if he can get back from America. Do you know what I mean? It's got a long way.
He's stranded. It's like he's actually a member of the Lost cast now. Like nobody knows where he is, and he's just trying to swim his way back.
I've not done any research. I think he's with Harry Forrester, isn't he, in the Great LA?
They're playing for the same team, yes. For legal reasons, we must point out he is not with Harry Forrester.
And Harry Forrester always had a tan before, so he always had a fake tan, didn't he? Now he's got a real tan. Because he's out there, and you know what?
The only man in Glasgow with a tan.
Yeah. Yeah, he played for Glasgow Rangers, didn't he? And then he ended up coming to us.
Stu, I could play for Glasgow Rangers. Let's be fair.
Well, anyone can manage Celtic, to be fair. Look at Rodgers at the moment trying to get in grief. He's trying to say that he's done a great job at Celtic. Anyone could win that league under Celtic. Even I could do that. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let's not come to Scottish football because that bore us. George Oakley. George Oakley scored the Van Basten goal.
Let's not talk about Scottish football. It'd be boring. However, that said, George Oakley at Inverness or Hamilton or wherever he is now, one of those interchangeable teams. It was not a Van Basten goal, though, was it? Let's be honest.
I've not seen it. I didn't watch it.
Van Basten. When I read the sentence, it said a Van Basten-esque goal. I was thinking, wow. I was like, this must have been one hell of a goal. And I was thinking, all right, so he's sort of half turned and crossed it, and it's gone in.
But do you know what? We laugh, but we can't get our forwards fit, let alone scoring goals. And you've got George Oakley now, former Wimbledon player, and he's scoring goals in the Scottish League. And like I say, what would we do for someone just to be? Hey, look, we would just be happy to have a fit striker, let alone someone scoring goals. So he would be a bonus on that. Anyway, but I've lost the train of thought now. What was the original question? I've digressed. I digress. Wasn't it interesting that Real Madrid got hammered at home by Ajax?
We really have lost the plot this week, haven't we? Let's just pick a subject at random and talk about it.
I'm doing anything to stop talking about Wimbledon because there's nothing to talk about.
We were discussing perhaps doing something at Kingsmeadow to mark its
that's right, yeah.
season. So there's two elements to this. One is I'm sure there are many things we should be looking to do. I know it's Kingsmeadow and it's just hardly Highbury, is it? But, we could have themed days. We could think about celebrating, like you said, some of the famous ex-players that grace turf, maybe every season's player of the year or something, I don't know, and build a day around them or something, or memorable results that correspond with the same day or date or something. There are things we can do to mark it. I think it would be nice if we could. Certainly the last game there, I'm sure we are and stuff like that. But, yeah. But the other thing is, of course, the 2020, 2021 is where we're going for. Just stick it on the official site or something. To placate people that aren't happy with news seemingly breaking everywhere except for where they think it perhaps should.
Yeah. Do you know what? Just an idea we could do. And I'm not a lover of the matchday programme. I think, I'll be honest with you, I think programmes, in my opinion, are dated. I know it's going to upset some people, but maybe what they could do to maybe even increase sales is literally think about, and they may be doing this already, so forgive me, all the people that we know involved in the programme, but even like have a sort of like a souvenir program each week that basically recaptures, I don't know, first the match day one, or has an iconic picture from a previous game at Kingsmeadow or something. And do you know, there are quite a lot of things you can do. Celebrate. It's a great time to celebrate. We're leaving to go back home to Wimbledon, but let's celebrate what we had. Because if you remember Kingsmeadow, like, I know that you'll struggle because of course you only played two when we went to Kingsmeadow, but if you
give me some credit. I was 8 years old.
You're struggling. You're about 7 or 8, wouldn't you? But just think about it. When we first went to Kingsmeadow, we literally had no terrace, no cover on the top of what was called then the athletics end. It's been falling over 10 pests. We all still call it 10 pests, don't we? You then had what was the most amazing terrace on where John Green is now. So you had a roof that basically, if you celebrated, you smashed your head, you smashed your hand up against the roof. I think there's so many iconic pictures that we could use from years gone by. Kingsmeadow has transformed. Even to the extent where there wasn't we look at the Paul Strangler stand now, if we remember, that wasn't actually the whole way along the side of the ground. We actually extended it, didn't we, if you remember properly?
We did indeed, yes. It used to be a catering outlet out in the end
there. Yeah, and who can forget the catering when we used to have those magical...
Oh, I wish I hadn't said catering.
Burgers.
Oh, do you know what? Yeah, the only thing worse than saying catering is Lyle Taylor.
But if you remember, we could do a celebration of the greatest catering that we had at Kingsmeadow, because it's better than what we've got now.
That would take 30 seconds, wouldn't it?
But what I mean, but do you remember the days when they used to before the carvery and hospitality, they used to use the kitchen. They used to sell out of the kitchen, and we used to have local produce, and we used to have like the best burgers ever. And there used to be a massive queue for these burgers. Now you very rarely get a queue for it. Do you know what I mean? That's when they run out of tea. But yeah, we could. what I'm saying is, in all seriousness, is that Kingsmeadow has transformed. I think the only stand that hasn't transformed is basically the old John Green we used to, not John Green, the old John Smith that we used to call it.
Stu, of all the stands to say hasn't transformed, you pick that one.
But it is.
But you mean the one down the side?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they've deepened the terracing, didn't they? They deepened the terracing a little while ago, didn't they? So it's not it used to be like 3 sort of broad, flat steps, didn't it?
Yeah. And you can forget when we first went to Kingsmeadow, the dugouts were on the other side.
They were indeed.
And I think they moved them. So I think we all laugh about it, and I think you now get a booking now. Or not a booking, I think you get told off you do it now. But do you remember the times when people used to walk past and bang the top of it?
All the time.
And the people would jump. I still laugh now because it was highly amusing, but I think you now get kicked out of the ground if you do that now. But yeah, let's celebrate Kingsmeadow. It's been a long time there, and even though we're all excited to go home, let's not forget what Kingsmeadow has meant for us. We've seen some magical times. But I must admit, I can't wait for the first foundation or first brick or anything like that is laid. And it'll be interesting to see who that person is that lays the first brick.
Oh, who should it be? That's a good question. You've got to think Dickie Guy would be a good shout.
Yeah.
Laurie
I
Sanchez
think so.
would be a good shout.
Do you know what I suppose would like all the ex-managers to come back and lay it.
All of the ex-managers?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we had now, we think, if we go back to Nick English, maybe we don't get Terry Eames, that could be a bit awkward.
I was thinking you're going back Peter With. Are we thinking, like, who are we talking about?
Sorry, AFC times. Yeah, Peter With would be, he's a manager I think I've ever booed. He's a manager I've ever booed. Egil Olsen, I just laughed at, because he was just a fruitcake. Let's be honest with you. He was ahead of his times, but he was a fruitcake.
General fruitcakeness.
But yeah, maybe in the ANC time, right? Let's forget about Terry Eames, but Nick English done a great job. Dave Anderson, who's doing a great job at Chertsey now, if he's not at Wembley at the time when he's doing it, and they've just gone. They have so many games in hand. They've still got 4 games in hand in their league, and they're already a point clear, so they're going to get promoted as well. I just think it'd be great to have the ex-managers do it, maybe. But anyone, to be honest with you, anybody, but someone from the football club board or. I just don't think it's that. I think it's all about celebration. That's something iconic. And, it'd be interesting to see with it.
Ben Wright. Ben Wright.
No.
Yes, no, that's the player.
Oh, sorry, I thought you wanted
That's who I was getting confused with Danny Wright. It was Ben Wright, who was at Hampton and Richmond, and then moved on to what we thought was going to be a very successful career, and quite honestly, wasn't. But
so Luton destroyed his career.
He played 5 games for Luton, apparently. As Luton were trying to... Basically, Luton at the time were just signing anyone that was in form and thought they could get them promoted.
Hey, we're trying to sign anyone who can play football. Anyway.
Well, yeah, on that note, let's move on. Last thing I wanted to touch on, general football news that I wanted to touch on. Portsmouth versus Sunderland is the final of the goddamn Football League trophy. Yeah. This is a pain in the backside because they ain't going to care. Those fans aren't going to give 2 you-know-whats about this competition, and it's going to be commentary all over again, and they're going to sell out Wembley, and everyone's going, oh, look, amazing, they sold out Wembley for this competition. But like, no, the competition should be scrapped and killed off. And yet now we've got another final where fans are going to go, oh, we're at Wembley, so we all must go. Oh.
This shows you how out of the loop I am at the moment, or just I've been so busy recently. I saw people moaning about Pompey Sunderland. I was thinking, what? Now, this is me thinking very about actually putting my brain into gear, which won't surprise you. I was thinking, what are people moaning about? There wasn't an under-23 squad that got to the final. What are they all moaning about? And then I've just realised, of course, 2 biggest supported clubs going to Wembley. Yeah. It's almost as if it was written in the stars that was going to happen, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it does seem that way. So I'll not mention it again, but it's a pain in the backside because you know they're going to use it as a way to sell this fantastic competition that they've created, which I still think we should withdraw from. Maybe I shall put a motion forward for the Dons Trust meeting on April the 17th, where we can take a vote of the membership, an actual vote, and see, do we want to play in this competition? And then we can discuss and weigh up all the pros and cons with the finances involved and all that business. But I think somebody's got to make a stand about this thing, because otherwise it's here to stay now, unfortunately, because people have gone along with it, basically. Not kicked up enough of a stink, and we're all guilty of that. Anyway, moving on. Let's do something more fun, if anyone's still listening to this week's show, because we have... Anyway, Wally with a trolley. This week, Stu, apropos of nothing whatsoever, and because Doncaster, we don't really have a link with Doncaster, Wally has gone shopping this week. First of all, where has he gone shopping? Which supermarket this week?
I don't know. Where has he not been yet? Has he been to Boots yet?
Boots for his supermarket? Well, I suppose we can do Boots. Boots is quite big in some places.
Yeah, let's do Boots.
Okay, let's do Boots. He's gone to Boots, apparently, to purchase 3 ex-Wimbledon players, 3 ex-AFC Wimbledon players that I have picked at complete random.
Of course.
Complete random, Stu. Apropos of nothing. These 3 players are Leon McDowell, Kevin St. Luce, and MC Harvey.
Oh, wow. At random, yeah.
Yes. Can't see anything questionable about these particular individuals whatsoever.
Oh, dear. Sorry, yeah.
My question would be, yes, keep it zipped for the time being. My question would be, these 3 upstanding members of the community, which of those 3 would be most expensive at the checkout if you were paying £1 for every appearance they made for the club?
Ooh. McDowell. Gut feeling says it loose, but he was only here for a short time in the end. And I know you had chucked him in. Do you think I would have gone for him first?
No, I've not. Seriously, Joe, I've not chucked him in for any reason. You know the reason I've chucked him in. It's nothing to do with that.
Yeah. They just had great records, didn't they?
One of them did. Oh, no, he really, really didn't.
I'm going to go for MC Harvey.
It's not MC Harvey. Bizarrely, it's actually Kevin St. Luce.
Oh,
who was here longer
he played that many games.
I didn't think he played that many games, but according to the records I found online, 46 times. It's like a season he was with us.
No way. Did he really?
I think he did, you know.
I used to love Kevin St. Luce.
Did you really?
The problem was, yeah, I did, because his second touch was always a tackle. But he was always smiling, wasn't he? He was always happy. But his second touch was always a tackle. And the great thing was that he sort of knew it was going to be a tackle, because he was always, when he lost the ball, he was always going back and chasing after it. Yes, you get them people go, oh, but he's such a good player because he's always tackling back. And I'd be like, yes, because he lost it. So he felt a responsibility to go and get it back. Yeah, I like Kevin St. Luce. 46 appearances. Did we really stick that long with him?
Apparently so. What I found incredible about these stats is MC Harvey 35, Leon McDowell 14. Yeah. If you were to add together all the goals they scored for us, would the combined total of these 3 players come to more or fewer than, or would it cost, I should say, would it cost Wally when he goes shopping at Boots? Would it cost him more or, I'm going to say less, I don't care, than £12?
So I don't think Kevin St. Luce scored that many goals. What was he? League 2, wasn't he? St. Luce, from memory. McDowell, though, I did think scored. MC Harvey loves shooting, so he probably would have scored a few. I can go higher. More than.
More than. It was indeed. Do you know what? It was 17. Harvey got 7, McDowell got 7, and St. Luce got 3, including one quite important one, I believe, away at Dagenham, the season we stayed up. And also, think about it, the following season, he might have scored in that 2-1 win at Newport when Charlie Sheringham scored. I think that would tie in with St. Luce having played so many games for us if he was over the course of those 2 seasons. Yeah, that would work. So
he's a player who'd have to come out, wouldn't he? If he'd done a black taxi, he'd have to be one coming out. Charlie Sheringham. What a player.
I'm going to say no.
Where is he playing? Where is he playing his trade now?
I don't know. Probably his Boots. Probably behind the counter.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. Right, let's move on. Doncaster then, we've talked quite a lot about it actually at the start, but they are 6th in League One. They have not won away from home in the league in 2019. I wish I had not just read that.
Well done, that. You just jinxed a whole lot out of that.
Here's something else that's interesting. John Marquis, their main man, their top scorer, their one to watch, 21 goals this season. 21 goals. That's one player. This season, our whole team has managed about 8.
What worries me at Doncaster? Well, actually, what I would say to anybody listening to the podcast, do not look at any stats for Doncaster.
Yeah, you've got to say it to anyone. I love how you say to anyone listening to the podcast. So those people that aren't listening to the podcast, you just turn away for a minute. This is just for people that are listening.
The worry is that they've literally gone to nearly everybody around the bottom six and dumped them big time. So they've gone to Gingham 1-3-1, gone to Bristol Rovers 1-4-0, gone to Rochdale 1-3-2, gone to Plymouth 1-3-2, gone to Walsall 1-4-1, gone to Southend 1-3-2. Basically, they don't seem to worry too much about going to teams in the bottom. Well, the bottom. So, yeah, that doesn't look good at all, does it? I really wish I did look at that. That's not good at all.
On the back of that, do you want to make a quick prediction then?
I hate saying we're going to lose. I don't know. I just think Doncaster will come and they ain't going to worry too much about us. They're just, I think we're going to do well to get a draw, but my gut feeling is we'll probably lose 1 or 2-1.
Traditionally, you don't tend to, when you have back-to-back games like this at home, you don't tend to win or lose both of them, do you? By that I mean you don't win both, you don't lose both. So I think there's potential. I'd rather lose one and win one than draw both, obviously.
Agree.
So I think there's a win in one of these two games with Peterborough on Tuesday night. Just not sure which one it will be. The only thing with Peterborough is a little bit of a pick-up since they've changed manager and Darren Ferguson's got back in there. So tough couple of games, but not out of the question that we might be able to nick something, even though they have got good players, Doncaster, and Grant McCann has done a much better job than I thought he would do, because I think I tipped them to go down this season.
I would say they do have goals in their games. They do score goals. But I'm just looking at total goals in their games, and they've had 13 games they've been involved in, which have been over 4 goals. I think we've done well to get 4 goals in a month down at our place. Let's not look at their anyway. Let's not look at their record. No,
let's move on. Let's leave that one there. Ladies team, let's catch up with them. They won 2-1 at the weekend. Back to winning ways after a bit of a dodgy spell. Hannah Baptiste and Megan Kowalski with the goals. And then this week, they are travelling to Denham Industries. Denham United ladies, I believe, who are currently 11th in the division. It's out of 12 teams. 2 p.m. at the Den, which I assume is the name of their ground in Denham, which I think is over sort of Norfolk, Suffolk way. Not Millwall's Den, because, well, it'd be great if it was, but it's not. So I don't know why I'm talking about that. Let's move on. But well done, ladies. Good win. Back to winning ways. 2-1. Still remains 6th in the division.
And also, did you see, by the way, that the England ladies won the what do they call it now? The She Believes Cup. That's right. Yeah, really weird, like a round robin sort of. They drew to host nations America and won their first trophy of the year. So it's really good. The ladies' football was really taken off, and that England team was pretty decent. You are seeing women in sport. This is what makes me laugh. Talk about women in sports and big revolution and stuff like that. Several sports, of course, have been doing this for a long, long time, but it's catching up in other areas now, which is great, such as football, of course, such as perhaps rugby and perhaps even wrestling. But people don't like it when I say that, apparently, even though the survey we did a couple of years ago, actually, people said more wrestling. No lie. That's what the survey said. Anyway. It's all about doing feedback. If you don't talk to your fans, you don't know what they want, do you? Absolutely. Couldn't say it better myself. Music quiz. Last week it was Why by Annie Lennox. Mark Hendricks, thank you on Twitter for that one, for correctly guessing that one. If you recognise what it was at the start of this week's show, at 9YRS Podcast, let us know what the opening song was. And I think I stumbled over my words there, so it sounded like I might have said opening thong. I really didn't. It was meant to be opening song, but something went wrong, and it sounded a bit like thong. So on that note, listen out for Cisco at the end of this week's show. Great song that is, by the way. Wasn't that a theme tune to like a film? It was, wasn't it? That was a music track. It's probably one of those films that you watched, Stu, when Lorraine's out. Anyway, moving on. Updates from Doncaster and Peter will be on Twitter at 9YRS Podcasts on Saturday, and then next Tuesday, AFC Women Business Club this week. They are going Bhangra dancing with former Leeds United fullback Tony Dorigo, which, in the annals of random things that I've written at the end of the show for this bit, that's probably up there with the most random. Lee Finch is scheduled currently to be Love Sport Radio this Sunday, 8 p.m. with Jake Watson. So tune into that if you can. Other than that, thank you very much for joining me, Stu. No problem at all. Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last. We will speak to you again next week.